The countdown was already running when I dropped into the chair, 60 seconds bleeding down in cold blue numerals across the tank, and the human ship had still not moved. I am Vale Corin, threshold interdiction officer aboard the Ilsven Ward, and in 11 years of holding stations over non-compliant vessels I have watched perhaps 400 countdowns run their course. They all end the same two ways. Either the target powers down and we board it, or the target arms and we end it. The tank had never shown me a third option, and so when the relay craft sat there at 54 seconds doing neither, I assumed our scanners were lying to us. "Confirm weapons status," I said. "Cold," said Idrin, my sensor tech, for the second time. "No charge anywhere on the hull. No shield bloom. Nothing drawing power but life support and a single transmitter. Confirm transmitter status. Active. Wideband. Unencrypted." She looked up from the panel like the readout had insulted her. "Sir, she's not even using a directional dish. She's broadcasting omnidirectionally. Anyone in this sector can hear it." That was the moment I should have understood what I was looking at. I did not. At 40 seconds I opened the channel myself, expecting to hear the usual things, a plea, a threat, static meant to mask a final weapons spin-up. Instead I heard a woman's voice, unhurried, reciting coordinates, a name, and a single sentence offered to no one in particular, that she was alone, that she meant no harm, that she would not be moving and would not be arming anything, and that anyone listening was welcome to come and see for themselves. "She's giving us her position," said Tuvan Ress, my weapons officer, without looking away from his board. "On an open channel. To a fleet that's counting down her own execution." "She already gave us her position," I said. "We've had a lock on her for 6 minutes." "That's not what I mean." I would learn what he meant soon enough. At 31 seconds the fleet authority queried me for confirmation of standard procedure, and I gave it, because I did not yet have a reason not to. Standard procedure says, at 0, if the target has not powered down, we fire. I had fired on stranger things than silence. But Tuvan had gone still in a way I'd only seen from him twice before, both times right before he told me something I didn't want filed in any report. "I served under Marin Cat," he said. 30 years ago, the Varith line. We caught a single unshielded craft the same way, alone, broadcasting open, refusing every order to power down or surrender. Cat ran the countdown twice, manually, because the first time our weapons wouldn't authorize fire. Equipment failure. That's what the report said. He finally looked at me. It wasn't equipment failure. Our targeting doctrine requires a threat signature before lethal authorization releases, and she gave it none. No charged weapon. No raised shield. No evasive vector. No aggression posture of any kind, on any sensor band we have. The system isn't built to fire on something that hasn't shown it intends harm. It can't classify her as a threat, so it can't authorize. Cat had to override the safety lock by hand to even attempt the shot, and by the time he did, she'd already finished broadcasting and the fleet behind her had already heard everything she said. And then? And then Cat's command was relieved within the week, and the report was sealed, and nobody above pay grade 9 has read it since. I only have, because I copied it before I left that posting. He exhaled. "Sir, she is not bluffing and she is not hiding a weapon. She is doing the one thing our entire arsenal has no answer for. She's giving us nothing to aim at." At 20 seconds I ran every targeting solution we had against the relay craft myself, because I did not believe a junior officer's 20-year-old ghost story over my own board. Every solution came back the same: insufficient threat indication, authorization withheld pending escalation. I tried forcing an override the way the report said Cat had. The lock refused to release. Not jammed, refused, the way a door refuses to open onto a room the system has decided does not exist. "Pull the registry," I told Idrin. "Has this happened since Cat?" She found 2 more entries inside a minute, both buried under the kind of administrative language that exists to keep a thing from being read twice. A border cutter 8 years ago had caught a single human freighter the same way: no weapons, no shields, full transparency, an open broadcast that ran the whole length of its own countdown. The cutter's authorization had stalled exactly as ours had. The second entry was older still, a listening post that had tried, out of sheer frustration, to manually fire a relay weapon with no targeting solution at all, blind, on faith that something was there to hit. The shot missed by 11,000 kilometers. Nobody had bothered to recalibrate after that. There had never been anything to recalibrate against. 3 incidents in 30 years, Tuven said. 3 different fleets, 3 different command structures, and every single one of them produced the same result, because the result isn't a decision anyone made. It's what's left when you build every weapon you own to answer a threat, and then something simply declines to be one. I thought, not for the first time that hour, about how many other systems we'd built the same way, built to answer something, anything, some pressure pushing back, and how none of us had ever stopped to ask what they were supposed to do with the absence of one. "She's still talking," said Idrin quietly. I listened again. The recitation hadn't changed. Name, coordinates, the offer to be seen, repeated calm and unhurried, as if the numbers in our tank meant nothing to her, as if she had already decided how this would end and was simply waiting for the rest of us to catch up. At 12 seconds, the fleet authority queried me again, this time with an edge in the transmission I had not heard from that office in 11 years. I told them the truth: authorization will not release. They asked if I required a second ship to execute manually. I asked Tuven whether a second ship would fare any differently. "No," he said. "Cat tried that too. 3 hulls, same lock, same refusal. You can build a weapon to kill anything that's coming for you. You cannot build one that fires on something that has made absolutely certain it isn't." At 5 seconds the woman's transmission ended, not with a plea, not with a final defiant flourish, but simply because she had said everything she had come to say and saw no reason to keep talking into a countdown she had clearly never been afraid of. The silence that followed was worse than the recitation had been. 400 countdowns, and I had never once heard one end in quiet that the target herself had chosen. At 0, nothing happened. No weapon fired, because none had ever been authorized to. No alarm sounded, because no threat had ever registered. The numerals in the tank simply stopped, and sat there, and the relay craft drifted exactly where it had been for the entire 60 seconds, unshielded, unarmed, entirely unbothered, as if it had known the whole time that the only outcome we were capable of producing was this one: a fleet holding station over an unarmed woman, weapons cold, doctrine stalled, with absolutely nothing left in our procedures to do next. I filed the report myself, rather than hand it down to be filed for me. Threat assessment, indeterminate. Recommend indefinite hold pending doctrine review. I did not write down what Tuven told me, because I did not think anyone above pay grade 9 would believe it any more than I had 11 minutes earlier, but I copied his old report before I closed the file, the same way he once had. 3 hours later, when our relief arrived and we finally broke station, I opened the channel one last time, more out of some need to hear her voice again than any procedural requirement. I asked her, I don't know why, I had nothing left to gain by it, what she would have done if the lock had released. If Tuven's old report had been wrong, and someone, somewhere down the line, had simply decided to fire anyway. She answered the way she'd said everything else. Flat. Unhurried. Like a woman who had long since made her peace with every version of how this could go. "Nothing," she said. "I told you I wasn't going to use any of it. The 60 seconds were never mine to spend on a weapon I didn't bring." Then the channel closed, and the relay craft began, quite calmly, to drift on toward wherever it had been going before we ever found it.